Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about material requirement planning and material resource planning. First, coming to the material requirement planning, the material requirement planning is also called as the MRP-I. It is a planning technique. Here, it translates the master production schedule of end products into a detailed schedule for the raw materials and parts in those end products. Here in this material requirement planning, we are giving the detailed description or detailed data about the raw material, and we are giving the detailed data about the parts which are used in that production. Those are all data which is available in the material requirement planning. These data we prepared according to the master production schedule. In the master production schedule, we are giving the detailed plan, or we are giving the detailed sequence of the operations, or we are producing the detailed information about that production in that material on that master production schedule. So here in this material requirement planning technique, here we are working backward from the scheduled quantities and needs data and needs dates from the end items. Here according to here based on the material based on the master production schedule, we are giving the detailed information about the process. It means which available the data needed dates. It means due dates we are mentioned. We are specifying the due dates, and we are determining the requirements of the components which is satisfied to the material production schedule, master production schedule. Next, in this material requirement planning, we determine the what components are needed. It means for that production, which type of the components are required. For example, if we take the mobile phones, for that mobile phone production, what are the components are required, and what are the how many of the components or how many of the mobile phones are needed to that market, or how many of the mobile phones are available in the market, and according to that how many of we have to produce. Those are all informations is available in the material requirement planning. And also when they are needed, it means the customer or the market or the buyers or the consumers, they will give some due dates to that manufacturers. According to that due date, we have to prepare the schedule, or we have to procure the material, raw material, and also when they should be ordered. Sometimes we have the raw material and we started the production. After few days, the raw material shortage may occur, or the stock may be over. Based on that stock or based on that production, we are thinking, and we are giving the pre-orders for that raw materials, and so that they are likely to be available as needed. Next, coming to the basic characteristics of material requirement planning. Here we have the two basic characteristics. First one is it drives demand for components, which means it gives the detailed demand information of the component, what are the components are required and how much quantity those are required, and when they should be required, those information which is available. And it consists the sub assemblies information. Sometimes if for example, if we take the bike engine, for that bike engine component, or for that bike engine assembly, we require some sub assemblies like cylinder, piston, and crankshaft, connecting rod, and bore, piston rings, and inlet and outlet ports we required. Those are all sub assemblies we prepared, and we are going to assemble those things, and we get the final engine part. Then also which is the material requirement planning contains the information about the raw materials and information about the specifications of the raw material. Those are all things which is available from demand for and production schedules of parent items. And also MRP offsets replenishment orders, that is purchase orders or production schedules. It relates to that the data when the replenishment is needed. those things, these are the characteristics of material requirement planning. Next, coming to the inputs of the material requirement planning, here majorly we have the three inputs. Majorly we require the three inputs for this material requirement planning. The first one is master production schedule, and the second one is bill of material files, and third one is inventory record file. These are all things we are going to discuss one by one. And before we are going to discuss about that material requirement planning inputs, first we are going to know about the material requirement planning output. The material requirement planning output means here the list of end items available every period that is feasible with respect to that demand and capacity. Based on the demand capacity, we are going to give, or we are going to supply that raw material. According to that supply, we get the final products. First, coming to the inputs of the material requirement planning, first input is material production schedule. The material production schedule is a detailed plan that states how many end items will be available for sale or distribution during specific periods. For example, if we take pen, we are preparing the pen, we are producing the pen, or we are introducing the pen to the market. The manufacturer or the customers, they will give the due date for us. For example, they give order is 5,000 items, and they give the date is 6 months. They give the duration is 6 months. In that 6 months, we planned the production according to the aggregate production planning. In the first month, we are going to produce 1,000 products. Second month, we are going to produce 500 products. Like that, we are planning for 6 months. In that according to that aggregate production planning, again we are going to prepare the detailed master production schedule. In this master production schedule, which consists the detailed information about the total month production. For example, in the first month we are producing 1,000 items. For the 1,000 items, how much raw material is required, and how much machinery is required, how much manpower is required, what are the standard procedures are required, and what are the engineering informations are required. Those things we are maintaining, those things we are classifying in the master production schedule. Here the coming to the purpose of the master production schedule means here we are fixing the due dates for the availability of end items. After these days, we are going to give some X products to the market. Like that, we are preparing this due dates, and also to provide information regarding the resources and materials required to support the aggregate planning. Just now we discussed about aggregate production planning. In that aggregate production planning, the first month we are going to produce 1,000 items. For those 1,000 items, how much raw materials are required, and what are the resources are required, those things we planned here as an input to the MRP, which will set specific production schedules for parts and components used in end items. Next, coming to the inputs of master production schedule. In this master production schedule, we have majorly three types of inputs. The first one is market requirement. Second one is production planning from aggregate planning. Then the third one is resources available. First, coming to the first input, market requirement. Without requirement, we can't produce any items. In a manufacturing or in a production industry, first they take the orders from the customers, or they take the order from the market, then only they are going to start the production. Based on their requirement only, they are going to prepare the aggregate production planning as well as master production schedule. Then they are going to prepare the resources availability. They are going to check the resources availability. What are the machines are required, what are the engineering information is required, what are the manpower is required. Those things they discuss, those things they think, and they fix, they arrange their resources for that master production schedule. Next, coming to that second input, that is inventory record file. Here the all data related to the inventory are recorded in the inventory recorded file. Here these inventory recorded file consists of three categories. Those are all. First one is inventory data segment, second one is inventory status data, third one is subsidiary data segment. First, coming to the inventory data segment. In this inventory data segment, which provides the items identification of part number and other data such as lead time, cost and quality. For example, we are producing a pen and we are giving that part number to that pen. How we are giving the part number means based on the cost factor. Some pens we are preparing 5 rupees pens and 10 rupees pens we prepared, and some we prepared 100 rupees pens. And also we are coming to the shape of the pen. Sometimes we are taking the some normal shapes, and sometimes we are taking some complex shapes. Based on that shape also we are going to give the part number. Sometimes we are giving the quality of the item. We consider the quality of the item. According to the quality of the item also we are giving the part number. Sometimes we are considering the lead time. It means starting time and closing time. Based on that also we are going to give the part numbers. Those are all informations we maintain in as a record, that is called as the inventory data segment. Then the second one is inventory status data. It provides the time-based record of the inventory status, which means when we started the production and when it was going to stop, and what are the things happened in that the duration. Those are all things we are maintaining as a record. Next, coming to the third one is, that is subsidiary data segment, which provides the data such as purchase orders, scraps or rejects, and engineering changes. These are all involved in this subsidiary data segment. These three segments are we seen in the one diagram, that is record of an inventory item. First one is item master data segment, which consists part number of the item and order quantity and descriptions of the item and the setup of the item and the lead time, cycle time, and the standard cost of that item, last year usage, and class, safety stock. These are all informations we maintained in the item master data segment. And also scrap allowances, cutting data, pointers, etc. These are all informations are available in the item master data segment. Next, coming to the second one is inventory status segment. In this inventory status segment, we maintain the gross requirements of that item and scheduled receipts on hand, planned order releases. Those informations we maintain in the inventory status segment. Next, third one is subsidiary data segment. In the subsidiary data segments, we maintain the order details, pending actions, counters, and keeping tracks we maintained. These are all informations we maintained at this subsidiary data segment. Next, coming to the third input, that is bill of materials. In this bill of materials, which is also known as product structure file, here which provides the information to the MRP program about the components which are required for the producing and end products. Here, for example, if we take the pen, for producing the pen we required some component, that is cap is required, that the body is required, and the refill is required. Those are all components we purchase. Those are all components we prepared. Sometimes we are going to purchase some items from other dealers or from our parent organizations. Those are all informations we maintained at the bill of materials, and which determines the way in which each end item must be manufactured, outline all the sub-component items, their sequences of steps, and their quantity required in each end unit, and the work centers carrying out the build up sequence. These are all informations we maintained in the bill of materials. Next, coming to the structure of material requirement planning system. These are also called as the components of material requirement planning. First, coming to the first one is here the master production schedule. Based on the master production schedule, we prepared the material requirement planning. For this master production schedule, we require the two things, that is the customer's order. The second one is the sales forecast. Here, based on the customer order, we prepare the master production schedule. Sometimes we are going to take the sales forecast. According to the sales forecast, we are going to prepare the master production schedule. After preparing the master production schedule, we are going to the material requirement planning processor. Here, in this material requirement planning, Sometimes we are considering the master production schedule, or otherwise we are going to take directly engineering changes and bill of materials. Based on this bill of materials file, we are going to directly implement the material requirement planning. We are going to procure the materials based on the bill of materials. Sometimes we are going to take the service part requirements. For example, after few days the items or the products may came to the service. Though at the time we are going to take the service requirement parts, and we are going to procure that service parts, and we are going to assemble those items into the product. Next, sometimes we are going to get inventory transactions and inventory record files. Then we get the output reports. This is about material requirement planning. Next, coming to the manufacturing resource planning. In this manufacturing resource planning is a system that is used to effectively plan the use of manufacturing resources. For example, here we are planning the use of manufacturing resources, that is machines, labor, manpower. Those are all informations we maintain, and it enables manufacturers to develop a precise production schedule for the future that minimize the cost and maximize the usage of resources available at their disposals. Here, with help of manufacturing resource planning, we are going to avoid the idle times of the process, and we are going to utilize the machines in a proper manner, and we get the profits. Next, coming to the sales forecasting, helps a manufacturer estimates the expected demand for a product so that they can source the proper amount of raw materials and schedule deliveries and quantities on time. And it also provides a target production level to determine the number of machine units and the labor required during the given production cycle. Next, here we are seeing some formula for the manufacturing resource planning. Here we are using manufacturing resource planning, means we are giving the information about when to order, that is which includes average use time and safety stock. The manufacturing resource planning, it arrives at the optimal order quantity and frequency for raw materials by adding the average use for a planned replenishment lead time with the safety stock that is required to protect against stockouts. Next, coming to the definition of manufacturing resource planning, that is, what is the manufacturing resource planning? The term manufacturing resource planning refers to an information system that is used by business involved in manufacturing goods. Here it means this information consists the machine details and equipment details and labor details and materials details. Those are all things. Those are all information is available in this manufacturing resource planning, and it integrate the information system facilities the decision process for management by centralizing, integrating, and processing the information related to the manufacturing process. Next, it enables management to make an accurate visualization of scheduling and inventory process and design, engineering, and to effectively employ cost control measures. These are all related to the manufacturing resource planning. Next, the manufacturing resource planning was developed in 1918 after a need for a software that integrates accounting system while making forecasts about inventory requirements. Here it is an extension of material requirement planning. Firstly, the material requirement planning was developed in 1964 by Black and Decker company. After a few days, some based on the usage, based on the need of the society, they are going to modify it, and they introduced the manufacturing resource planning, which was developed in 1980s. Next, coming to the differences between the material requirement planning and manufacturing resource planning. First, coming to the material requirement planning. The material requirement planning is a computerized information system of planning and sequencing and the time-based requirements. Here we are using we are maintaining some information system about planning and sequencing the time-based requirements. And coming to the manufacturing resource planning, It is a extension of material requirement planning, and it focuses upon other key areas of business besides the production department. And here the time phase requirements means the raw materials for the different operations involved in production or manufacturing of a product. And coming to the second one is it mainly focuses on raw materials including capacity resource planning with respect to time. Here based on the time we are going to procure the materials. The capacity was the capacity was decided based on the manufacturing, based on the master production schedule. Next, coming to the material requirement manufacturing resource planning, it takes into consideration the basic material resource planning as well as production planning and control activities, but also consider the information related to the other departments such as finance, human resource, engineering, marketing divisions, and accounts. Based on these informations, we prepared the schedule. Next, MRP-I, it is a simple and easy in nature, but does not provide any useful and integrated information. And coming to the MRP-II, it has been developed to fill in and cover up the loopholes of material requirement planning, as it provides the useful and integrated information by taking into consideration the different aspects of business in broader use. It was represented and followed as a complete single system to run a concern, instead being a part and parcel of the whole system. Next, it has been developed to overcome the problem of MRP-II, MRP-I, and it functions as a part and parcel of the total system. Next one is it is implemented by only few manufacturing organizations, but manufacturing resource planning is being implemented by many of the manufacturing concerns, and it considered important in providing the managing information system at different levels. MRP-I is the part of MRP-II, but MRP-II is a bordering concept. It does not provide any information about the financial resources, personal and labor budgets, but it also facilitates in providing the information about financial resources, personal needs and labor budgets. Material requirement planning focuses or highlights only on three fundamental requirements. They are inventory level control, preference to operating levels, capacity to load production system. But manufacturing resource planning coordinates and combines sales, purchases, manufacturing, finance, accounts, engineering by implementing well-designed and well-defined production plans, and make use of a single database to plan and alter the changes in the activities of the system. In the material requirement planning concerned with the production planning only, but the manufacturing resource planning concerned with both production planning as well as financial planning in a systematic manner. And material requirement planning, though one of the best technique for managing inventory, lacks as it does not take into consideration the other resources of an organization. But the material resource planning has been formed, which takes account into the consideration of all the expanded by including the capacity resource planning and material requirement planning. All the resources of the organization was expanded here. This is about the material requirement planning and as well as manufacturing resource planning. Thank you.